Imagine discovering that your family's past hides secrets so dark that they could turn your life into a living nightmare. A young couple travels to a picturesque town in Scotland, looking to film an ordinary documentary. But what they find is a terrifying mystery buried under decades of silence. Brutal crimes, lies, and a truth that threatens to destroy them. The couple travels in a van amid the green mountains of Loch Henry. They travel for some time and arrive at a house where a woman is waiting for them at the door. The woman is Janet McArdle, Davis's mother, who was with her girlfriend Pia. Janet complains that she was worried because Davis was late in arriving, and he replies that he took a detour to show his girlfriend the view. Davis's mother and Pia greet each other when Janet asks where Pia was from. America or somewhere else, insinuating that the girl must be of African origin because of her skin color. Davis cuts his mother off in embarrassment, but Pia answers without embarrassment. They enter the house, and while Janet prepares dinner, Pia observes the decoration. On the wall is a mask that stands out to the eye, and right below it is a photo of Davis's late father, Kenny, who was a police officer. At the table, Davis talks to his mother, saying that they will be leaving soon because they are going to film a documentary about a man who collects rare eggs. Janet doesn't quite understand what her son is explaining. Pia tries to help. She says that there are many thefts of rare eggs and that it is illegal, but the police seem lazy about it. Janet interrupts Pia, saying that maybe the police are just overworked, remembering the time of Davis's father. When she says this, the mood gets heavy. After dinner, in the bedroom, Pia regrets to her boyfriend what she said, because even knowing that Davis's father was a police officer, she said what she said. Davis tells her to stay calm because his mother is sensitive about everything that has to do with his father. Pia asks Davis if he misses his father, and he explains that he does, but since he died when he was 8 years old, most of his life he only saw his father in photos. He says that his father was sick for a while before he died, and that really affected his mother. In the morning, Pia realizes that she doesn't have internet and goes to look for something to do. She finds a lot of cassette tapes of a series that Janet really liked. She suddenly arrives in the living room and asks if they need anything before they leave. Davis takes Pia to the lake, and she is enchanted by the landscape, saying it looks like a painting. She says it's strange how such a beautiful place doesn't have any tourists around, but Davis keeps quiet. They walk through the city, which also seems deserted, and arrive at a bar. There Davis meets his friend Stuart. They talk and Davis introduces Pia. Stuart confesses that it's hard to keep things going with so little activity and that they'll soon have to close the bar. At that moment Stuart's father comes in, gets a drink and leaves again. Stuart explains that his father is depressed because the town is now a ghost town and he was the last one left. Pia asks again why such a beautiful town should be overrun with tourists, and Stuart replies that it is because of Ian Ader. Pia asks who Ian Ader is, and there is silence. Davis explains that the town used to be quite popular, but in 1997 a couple visited the town and rented a cabin. They stayed for about a week. On the weekend they were supposed to leave, but the cleaning lady at the cabin noticed that they were no longer there, but their things were. They called the police, who at the time were Davis's father. He searched the town for the couple, but there was no sign of them. After a while the search stopped. Until one night Ian Ader went to the bar. He drank a lot and started saying things about the missing couple. Stuart's father threw the man out of the bar, but he threatened to come back and shoot everyone. Stuart's father calls Davis's father and tells him what happened. The police officer went to Ian's house, but he didn't answer. When Davis's father was leaving, Ian shot him through the window. As he crawled to call for backup, he heard 3 more shots. Ian shot his mother, his father, and himself. When the police entered Ian's house, they discovered a banker hiding in the basement. Inside was a torture room. He tortured and killed his victims and buried them in the farm fields. Among the bodies was the missing couple. Pia asks Davis how her father died, and he replies that the shot hit him in the shoulder and he was hospitalized, where he caught a bacteria and died. That's why her mother blames Ian Ader for her father's death. Impressed by the story, Pia asks Davis to take her to where the crimes took place. He takes her to the place, and when she gets there she says that instead of making a documentary about a rare egg collector, they should make one about Ian Ader and the crimes he committed. She argues that this story would capture the curiosity of thousands of people and that it would be a success. The subject was very appealing and would bring the focus back to Loch Henry. Davis is a little reluctant, but Pia insists that the egg story would not be so good and that the real, potentially award-winning story was right in front of her eyes. Davis refuses to do it because it was about his father and it would bring back too many bad memories for his mother. Pia says that this is the perfect opportunity for them to do justice to her father's memory. Later at the bar, Stuart loves the idea and that this would be what Loch Henry needs to put itself back on the map. He offers a drone to help with the filming and an archive of newspaper reports and tapes from the time about Ian and the case. Davis is excited and agrees to make the documentary. They take everything home and begin their research. They connect a VCR to the computer, and when they turn it on they find a tape inside the device. When they press play it is a tape of Janet's favorite series. They ignore the recording and play one of Stuart's tapes. In the video, Davis recognizes his father in one of the scenes and also Stuart's father. They spend days studying, filming, and editing the documentary. They use all the information available, interview people, visit, and film the scenes of the events. Stuart gives a statement for the documentary. Stuart's father comes down the stairs while listening to everything, but ends up falling. When they help him, he yells at Davis and tells him that he shouldn't bring up the past and mess with what's already been done. Davis, extremely uncomfortable, leaves. At home, while they are working, Janet enters Davis and Pia's room and asks what she can make for dinner. She recognizes Stuart's face on the computer and asks what they are working on. Davis opens up to her mother and explains that they are making a documentary about Ian Ader and his murders, including that of her father. Excited, Janet supports the couple's initiative and likes the idea of how it will bring to the public's attention what Ian did to Kenny. She offers to help with whatever is needed. They record a statement with Janet, who seems to have no familiarity with cameras and still remembers that the last time she was filmed was by Kenny on an old video camera. The scene cuts to Davis and Pia, who go to a production company to present their work, but the woman had already heard about the case and doesn't seem very interested until Pia says that Davis's father was one of Ian Ader's victims. The woman asks if they can access any previously unseen footage, and Pia says she can get footage from the banker where the murders took place. With Stuart's help, they enter Ian's abandoned house and take the old camera to help with the documentary's horror atmosphere. When they try to record, they realize that the tape there is still the one from Janet's favorite series, but they decide to record over it. Meanwhile, Stuart finds the hidden door in the basement of the house and they go there. When they enter, it looks like a normal abandoned place. Stuart throws lemonade on the floor to make it look like blood when they turn on the black light, but when they turn on the black light, they realize that there is still blood everywhere, from the floor to the ceiling, like a macabre scene from a horror movie. Returning home, they talk about what they saw there and call the place the dungeon. Distracted, they get into an accident. Everyone is fine, but Davis needs to be hospitalized. They leave him there and go home. Stuart's father is in the same hospital. At home, while Janet prepares dinner, Pia edits the video they recorded in the dungeon. She leaves the video playing while she stretches. Janet is in the kitchen preparing dinner. Meanwhile, in the hospital, Stuart's father goes to Davis's room and tells him to stop recording. Even without proof, he always knew. Davis is shocked and asks what was happening. At that same moment, at home, the recording of the dungeon ends and the part of the series recorded on the tape appears. After this part, another recording appears over it. It was a recording of Ian Ader's own banker. Janet is still preparing dinner. The person recording with Ian is Kenny, Davis's father. They have fun while the missing couple at the time are tied up, gagged, and very scared. Ian plays some lively music and Janet comes in dressed up wearing the same mask that is now hanging in her living room. She dances and smiles as she tortures the victims. Janet goes upstairs to say that dinner is ready, but Pia can't hide her shock. While they eat, Pia sees the mask on the wall and can't hide her fear. Janet says that her husband gave it to her. Pia runs to the bathroom and tries to call Davis, but there is no signal. Janet seems to suspect something and asks if she is okay, but Pia runs out of the house with the excuse that she is feeling sick. Janet runs up to her room and sees that her tape was used by Pia and Davis and goes after the girl. Janet tells Pia to get in the car and she runs away in fear. Janet changes her behavior and tells Pia to come back, in exchange for her not hurting her. Pia tries to escape through a river but trips, hits her head and ends up being swept away by the current. Unaware that her daughter-in-law had had an accident, she screams and curses her for having been discovered after so many years. Janet decides to go back home. There she hid a box of memories with photos of her and Kenny torturing their victims together with Ian Ader. She gathers all the evidence and leaves it on the table with a letter to Davis. Janet puts on her mask and hangs herself in her room. Janet was the mastermind behind all the kidnappings and murders together with her husband Kenneth, and Ian only took orders from the couple. The police officer killed Ader and his family and deliberately shot himself in the shoulder to cover up the crimes. Stuart's father had suspected the couple since the 90s. The scene cuts to an award ceremony for Best Documentary Series. where Davis and his team are competing for the award with the documentary Loch Henry. They win the award and everyone celebrates in Stewart's bar, which is now packed with customers. Davis receives the award, but he is not happy. Although the documentary was a success, in addition to the fact that his parents were terrible serial killers, his mother and girlfriend died in the process and he seems to find no meaning in his life today. Davis sits alone in his hotel room and in his pocket is his mother's farewell letter that says, "For your film, Mather." And so, a simple trip became a dive into a dark nightmare. If you like this story and want more content like this, leave a like, subscribe to the channel and comment below what you thought. Until next time.